Hello, my friends. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. This is episode number 205. And today I have here with me Dale Miller, and we're going to talk about how to network like a pro. Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to Breakfast with Sergio. Super happy to be here. And guess what, my friends? I have an awesome guest with me. I have Dale Miller. She is an expert in marketing, business development, AI developer, speaker, and a coach. And we are so blessed to have her here with us today because she's going to help us today to get some ideas and some tips on how to network like a pro, something that we all need to do. No matter what you do in life, if you're a designer, if you're an artist, if you're an engineer, whatever you are, whoever you are, we all need always some help to network better. And Dale's going to help us to do that today. So how are you, Dale? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sergio. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Looking forward to discussing this topic with you.
Awesome. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that myself. First of all, let me ask you one very important question. What is your favorite breakfast?
What is my favorite breakfast?
Yes.
Oh my God. I generally don't really eat too much for breakfast.
Okay.
But if I do have breakfast, I like to have some protein. So eggs, I would say.
Eggs is always a great one. Something that I'm having lately, which I love, after my breakfast, usually some of these matcha cookies.
Ooh, that looks good.
Really, really awesome. I love green tea and matcha tea. So this is kind of like my newest thing.
That's great.
Have some here with me.
I'll have to try some.
So Dale, you're going to help us today to network better. Before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. As you mentioned to your audience, I'm a marketer. I also recently started a company that's visual AI, so it's computer vision. It analyzes images. Mm-hmm. And I've always, throughout my career, whatever I've done, I've utilized the power of networking. It's something that has come naturally to me, but I know it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. So happy to give some helpful tips. I just think it's so important to build relationships in life as you go along for your career and just your life in general.
That's awesome. And, before we go into the topic, I want to say, make sure you also stay tuned for future episodes, because in a different episode, you're going to come back and you're going to help us also talk about this great, project that you're working with AI, right? The future of AI and technology. Yes. And that's something that you are also doing right now, and something that I think we're going to see more and more in our life, right? In the things that we do every day. So don't miss that, because it's an episode that's coming up probably next week. So check that out. But they'll help us a little bit, how do we network better?
Well, that's a big topic. Just starting at a high level, I think it's important, and as creatives, as your audience, this would be a fit for them. As creatives, you are a naturally curious person, right? That's what makes you creative. You observe the world around you. You create art or design from that, or music, whatever genre you're working in. Mm-hmm. So the way I like to think of it is use that creativity with people. A lot of people say to me, well, I'm not good at networking because I feel I'm going to come across like a salesperson. It's right. Like, no, it's not like being a salesperson. It's just being curious about other people. People love to talk about themselves. If you strike up a conversation with someone and get them talking about themselves, their interests, what they do, they're going to like you. They're going to warm up to you. And it's going to be genuine if you really approach it with a genuine curiosity. I always feel it's a learning opportunity, especially when you're networking with people who are very different from yourself, whether different in their background or different in what they do. Perhaps as a creative person, you feel intimidated, let's say, talking to a business person because you feel, I don't know anything about business. I don't know how to relate to these people, and they seem maybe very conservative or boring to me. But just go into it with an attitude of curiosity and try to learn about the person. And I think you'd be surprised that you can find things in common and begin to build relationships that way.
That is awesome. I think that's great advice. What you said of showing interest on the person on the other side versus coming up and just talking about ourselves, right?
Correct.
But if I want to know more about you, then you are, more likely to open up to me. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. That's very important. I have found that I've done a lot of sales with the work that I've been doing, as well as marketing. And that's one of the things I feel that separates out good salespeople from people who aren't so good at it.
Right.
come in, they just start talking about themselves, their product or their service, and they don't listen to what the potential customer is really interested in. And it's the same thing in the art world, in networking, in any purpose.
Now, help us a little bit also, maybe with some ideas. How do we network with somebody who we don't have in front of us, but we want to connect with? Maybe it's a gallerist, or maybe it's a director of something or something. But so we find them in social media. We find that person. What is the best approach to connect with a person? Because the dynamics of not being in front of it is it makes it a little bit more complicated. You cannot read body language and things like that. So how would you do it on a cyber world?
Yes, that's a very good question, and something that I've worked with a lot myself and that I advise people on. Yeah. I think depending what social channel you're on, first of all, do your research about the person. Look up some information about them, whether it's their career path or creative work that they might be doing. If it's another creative person, say, that you want to collaborate with, if they've written articles or they've been interviewed on podcasts or video shows, get some information, and then I would reach out to them and comment on something about their background or what they've done, because this shows, again, an interest in them personally. You're not sending a generic note like, "Hi, I want to connect with you." The other person is like, "Well, why? I don't know you." But if you show an interest in saying, "Hey, I heard you on this podcast, and when you mentioned whatever," and you stick in a sentence about something that really intrigued me, "I think that way too, I'd like to learn more about that," something to that effect. I feel I've had a really high success rate of people connecting with me when I use that approach.
That's wonderful. So, kind of to put a practical, for example, if somebody wanted to comment with you and they saw you here, the first message could be not really asking anything, but just commenting on, say, "Hey, Dale, I saw you at Breakfast with Sergio, and I enjoyed the episode. I agree with some of the topics. Thanks for your advice." That's kind of a good way to kind of get introduced without really coming and asking for anything, right?
Yes, exactly. You don't want to ask for something right off the bat. Mostly that's a turnoff to people because they think, "Oh, what do they want? I don't have time." I mean, even if they're a really nice, well-meaning person, everybody's busy and they don't really know you. So people usually don't want to get involved with that. But if you're just referencing something about them, they're likely to connect with you.
Wonderful. What's your advice when somebody, you want to connect with somebody, but that other person is not responding or is not connecting back with you?
Well, that's tough because you have to walk a fine line between, you don't want to become a pest and barrage somebody with a lot of messages or emails that they're not responding to. So I think it's more about, again, just trying to craft that first message really well so that hopefully they do connect with you the first time. Mm-hmm. If they don't, you can wait a period of time and you can try again, but it's about providing value. Maybe the second or third time around, you might send a link to an article and say, "Hey, I read this and I thought of you," because of course it would have to be something that's relevant to them. Yeah. So you're providing some information that they may or may not know about, and it just shows that you still have them in mind and you're trying to provide some value, again, without asking for anything. So that's a great,
I really like that one. Coming in with something of value. It's like when you go visit somebody and you bring with you a bottle of wine, or you bring something of value to that home or the person you're visiting, right? Kind of like the same idea, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's great. That's great. Now, in your experience also with networks and so on, which platforms do you recommend that I think are good for people to connect with in terms of, in a professional relationships?
Oh, well, that's hard to say because there's so many, and it depends on what channels really apply to you. Like for me with business, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
And that's where we connected.
That's where we connected. I love that platform. But some people prefer Instagram or Facebook. I think that it's good to focus on one or two, because if you try to do them all, you generally can't accomplish as much because they all take time, right? And you have to think about what you're posting and how you're interacting, because every channel has a little bit of a different way of communicating and what the culture is for that platform. So I think you need to focus in on one or two that you feel comfortable with, and also where you feel your audience is, is what's important.
Right. Awesome. Well, believe it or not, it's already almost, time to
close. Already?
So quickly.
But there's so much more we could talk about.
I know we had to get you back again, but I want to say thank you so much for sharing these tips that you provided today. They're awesome value. I think what even the things that you said today, sometimes they might feel like common sense, but like when we actually apply them, as you mentioned, they actually can really work on our benefit in a great way. So, how can our friends find you on social media?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. As I mentioned, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so please look for me there. That's really the channel that I focus on. I am on Facebook, but I don't really use it much for business.
Okay.
And they could always email me as well. So it's my name. So it's Dale, DALE Miller, MILLER 529@gmail.com.
Super easy, super easy. Well, thank you, Dale. Thank you so much to all our friends watching today. Do us a big favor today night that make us our day really happy is share this episode with a friend. Share this episode with a friend. Maybe this is an episode that you can share with somebody and say, hey, I was thinking about you when I heard this episode. That would be a great way to connect with somebody today. So thanks, my friends. Thanks, Dale. Have a great day.
Thank you, Sergio.
I will see you in the next episode of Breakfast with Sergio. Goodbye.